Back so soon? Yes. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. My team is no longer coachless, Perna. Turns out all of those blue and orange ties Sean Payton was wearing on TV really were foreshadowing where he would go. Head coach of the Denver Broncos. Now, maybe I should be a little more excited. But I did spend all day making a video about why nobody wanted to coach in Denver, only to have Sean Payton hired 20 minutes after I posted it. That said, the Broncos were the most desirable destination all along. I was wrong. Denver does have to give up significant draft capital to complete the deal for Sean Payton. I'll tell you what that is. Also, Ian Rappaport basically revealed Sean Payton was the Broncos' third choice, and we can talk about the elephant in the room. Can Sean Payton fix Russell Wilson? Before that, though, may I just say, suck it, Mike Florio. Suck all of it. Because here in Broncos country, we're rich. We're rich. Rich, bitch! And Walmart knows how to get a deal done. So, Broncos country, let's try again. This time with Sean Payton. It's good sports. Please, if you like watching a football YouTuber make a video only to have the entire thing debunked just minutes after posting, subscribe here. Okay, the moment I knew Sean Payton was coming to the Broncos was, no, not Schefter. No, not the NFL Twitter account. Boom, there it is. Broncos Twitter. I am a visor guy now. Now, at the moment, the internet loves this hiring. And honestly, nothing terrifies me more than that. Also, I don't think I have ever been tagged so much for one piece of NFL news on Twitter, so thank all of you. Thank you very much. Every time Twitter and sports media, though, say that the Broncos did the right thing, it blows up in our fucking faces. It goes back to Paxton Lynch and that draft pick. People liked it. Colin Cowherd hyped up Drew Lock after his first season. Vic Fangio was finally the right guy to fix the Broncos. Then, Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson together. That gave the Broncos pretty good Super Bowl odds on the sports books. Wrong. We've been wrong every time. Why is this different? Twitter telling me that the Broncos got the guy who will actually save the team scares me. If Sean Payton can't fix Russell Wilson, though, nobody can, right? But before I get to that, this is what Denver gave up to get Sean Payton. The Broncos are sending the 29th overall pick of the 2023 draft and their 2024 second-round pick to the Saints in exchange for Sean Payton and the Saints' 2024 third-round pick. Is that significant compensation for a team that's already lacking picks from the Russell Wilson trade? Yeah, I suppose so, but no one's going to mention what they gave up if Sean Payton builds a winner in Denver. And by winner, we'll take 9-8, okay? Doesn't even have to be really like a strong winner, just winning. Rest assured, though, it will be mentioned ad nauseum if things go haywire, which we learned all too well last season. In total, Denver's given up 3 first-round draft picks, 3 second-round draft picks, a Locke, a Fant, a Shelby Harris, all for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. But the most bizarre part of the news that came out today was Ian Rappaport revealing that Denver's top choice was Jim Harbaugh or DeMeco Ryans, which is why they were both pursued twice. They allegedly made another run at DeMeco today, before or after his second interview with the Houston Texans. Those two coaches, Harbaugh and Ryans, rejected the Broncos a total of 4 times together, which is why they then settled for Sean Payton. Now, Rappaport's reports have been retorted by Broncos insider Mike Klis and Adam Schefter. So I don't know what is true. Like most things, the news is just a myth, but it doesn't matter, right? The power that is Walmart, though, is not used to being rejected like that. Guys who shop at Walmart are used to the rejection. Watching Jim Harbaugh, who looks like he shops at Walmart, then reject Walmart is just bizarre. What remains to be seen, though, is who the Broncos will officially hire as their defensive coordinator. If Ejiro Evero doesn't land a head coaching job, I really hope he returns. I do. I love Evero, but it might be Don Fangio.
Meatball.
Earlier in the week, it was announced that Vic Fangio was taking the defensive coordinator job in Miami. Fangio has since denied that claim. Why is that important? Well, Sean Payton and Vic Fangio at one point were linked as a duo to join wherever Sean Payton went. Now, a few weeks ago, it was reported that Vic Fangio would consider returning to Denver with Sean Payton. Like, that's real. Fangio, though, turning down top dollar in Miami for top dollar in Denver with Sean Payton just started to hit the news cycle today. Dave Logan reported that the Broncos are in talks with Vic Fangio to return to Denver as DC. I know that sounds crazy, but don't any of you underestimate how fucking beautiful the Rocky Mountains are. Even Fangio's old dead eyes can't resist living in this state kissed by God himself. They're beautiful. Now, it's hard to believe that a midseason trade that sent Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins culminated in the Broncos having enough firepower to land Sean Payton. That means George Payton nailed the trade that got us another Payton, which was really an unselfish move by him. And I, for one, am thankful that there are multiple ways to spell Payton. Payton and Payton, because shit's about to get very confusing here in Denver. Here's a little basic info on Sean Payton. He was the quarterback's coach in New York when the Giants made it to the Super Bowl back in 2000. He followed that with a stint in the same role in Dallas under Bill Parcells. Parcells retired. Payton was hired in New Orleans to a 3-13 team that was in more dire straits than even these current 2022 Broncos, and immediately turned them into a winner, going 10-6 and losing to Chicago in the NFC title game. 3 years later, Payton goes 13-3 with Drew Brees, wins the Super Bowl 44, thanks in part to one of the ballsiest calls of all time when he dialed up a surprise onside kick to start the second half, and all of the French Quarter is still partying their arses off to this day. Payton was suspended for a year in 2012 due to his role in Bountygate, which is well chronicled in that Kevin James Oscar-winning film that brought audiences to tears at the Cannes Film Festival. And then, after making the playoffs and winning a game in 2013, the Saints suffered some lean years caused by essentially little to no defense. 2017 and 2018, you had the Minneapolis Miracle knock the Saints out, and a year later, the Saints got screwed by one of the worst calls in NFL history. They could have still won that game, but that call would have forced a lesser coach to quit coaching football altogether. New Orleans then fails to win a game in their next two playoff appearances. Drew Brees retires, and Payton does his best with the quarterback cocktail that included Jameis Winston, Trevor Siemian, and Ian Book before calling it a career in New Orleans after 15 seasons. He then goes to Fox. Denver ultimately offers him a shit ton of money, and here we are. At this point, I think it's worth wondering what players the Broncos can pry away from the Saints. Personally, I'll just take all the good ones. Just give me the good Saints players and the cheap good ones. I would think Denver would have to consider signing wide receiver Michael Thomas on a one-year deal as he enters his 8th NFL season, although Russell Wilson doesn't have a stellar history throwing slant routes, does he? Or any short routes that aren't swing passes. Denver is also in the market for a running back, so they could get their hands on Alvin Kamara as well. Ultimately, though, I think they'll just use a mid-round to late pick to try and find a younger, cheaper, non-suspended Alvin Kamara in the draft this year and pair him with Javonte Williams upon his return. But I think the short passing game with the receiver or a back will be important. Here's the big question, and the only one that matters. Is Sean Payton's offensive scheme and Russell Wilson a good marriage?
I'm asking for some of his greatest hits and to make sure that we have those song lyrics available. and if not, let's put them in.
There's no denying that Sean Payton and Drew Brees had massive amounts of success. They had the highest scoring offense in the NFL in the year 2011, a ton of division titles, the Super Bowl win together, and I think one of the best coach and QB chemistries in the NFL, maybe ever. Also, this chart that I don't totally understand suggests Sean Payton gets way more out of his offenses than he should. Some might say that's exactly what Pete Carroll did for Russell Wilson in Seattle for 10 years, so this is a good fit. As a head coach, though, there's not a ton of evidence to say that Sean Payton can have a dominant offense without Drew Brees. We have watched the same problem smack Bill Belichick in the face in New England. The difference, obviously, is that Sean Payton is an offensive guy, and that he's probably smart enough to not hire a defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator. And if you just take Drew Brees out of the equation, because besides being undersized, he and Russell Wilson are nothing alike on the field, here's what gets my dick hard for Sean Payton. In 7 games, in the year 2021, Sean Payton made us all believe he had fixed turnover-happy quarterback Jameis Winston. Winston had thrown 14 touchdowns to just 3 picks and was playing a different brand of football. It definitely wasn't as fun as what we were accustomed to watching with Jameis Winston, the quarterback who threw over 30 touchdowns and 30 picks in the same season, but he looked like a QB the Saints, with their good defense, could win a lot of games with. Then he got hurt, and everything went to shite.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
This last season, without Sean Payton, Jameis Winston managed to throw 5 picks and 4 TDs in 3 games and then get benched. The sample size, again, is small, but I believe Payton got Jameis Winston to adjust his game for the better. I also believe Russell Wilson is better at quarterback than Jameis Winston. A much better QB. Fixing Jameis Winston versus fixing Russell Wilson is like trying to rebuild a car engine versus changing the oil in the car. Okay? With Drew Brees, especially as his arm declined, the Saints' offense still worked. And a lot of that was predicated on short, quick throws by Drew Brees. Russ doesn't do those well, but if you watch the 49ers or the Chiefs in the championship game with an injured Mahomes, you will see 2 offenses that created easy throws, short and outside, where Russ is good, that worked. And they worked because the play caller was creative. The scheme was creative. What I think Payton will do is design the offense where swing passes are intentional and go for decent gains. He'll get receivers open deep while moving the pocket for Russ to help him make those throws. He will be set up to succeed versus trying to do things that I don't think Russ is good at doing. So can Sean Payton fix Russell Wilson? The short answer is you better fucking believe it. Optimism slowly rising here in Broncos country. Don't do what you did last year, Perna. Don't do what you did last year. Seriously though, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube for, again, news that will be out of date as soon as it's posted.